Hello. So in this video, I want to show you how to create handwriting practice lines from scratch. The first thing you want to do when you're in the home section of Canva, go to custom size. You want to change your units to inches. You want to change the units first because if you have it on pixels and put your width and height in it, chances are Canva's gonna give you an error message and things like that. So you want to change your units to inches. Width is going to be 8.5 and our height is going to be 11 inches and create a new design. Now, if I was to upload this to Amazon, put it in a journal and upload it to Amazon, I want to show my margin guide in Canva. The guide, so the way to get to it is you go to files and show margins. Now, if you can see, let me zoom in a little bit. If you can see, there's like a guide here. I want to make sure I use that guide so that when I go to Amazon, it doesn't tell me any error message or anything outside of the margins. If you want your lines to start at the very edge of the page and then stop at the other side of the page, you want to make sure you select bleed when you're uploading to KDP. If not, I'm going to show you how to actually use the margin guide. So we're going into the elements section and I want to select a rounded square. Before I expand my square, I want to go to the color box and change the color to transparent. Then I am going to click the border style and select a dashed border. You can select the longer dashed or shorter dashed is personal preference. And then you can also select your border weight. I'll keep my border weight at 6. Now what I want to do is start at the top of my margin guide and kind of work my way down by expanding and letting my box, my border, fit the margin guide. Now I want to make sure it's centered, so click position, center, and I'm actually going to lock my border. The reason for me locking the border is when I go to the element section to grab another element, I don't want my border to start moving around since it's not part of the canvas. It's a different element that I've just added to the canvas. So now in the lines and shapes section, excuse me, that was a tongue twister. I'm going to select the line. Now I can start at the middle of my page if I wanted to do like a storybook page, or I can just start at the top. So let's start at the top. And I'm going to expand my line. Now the way to make sure that your lines are straight is if you, depending on like where your line is at, it's either going to be negative or positive, but you want it to be 0. If it's any other number, that's how you know it is not straight. So I'm going to duplicate the page. Now I want to make sure it's about 2 inches apart, either an inch or 2 inches apart. So I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm going to duplicate again. And this is pretty cool because Canva actually just lets you duplicate your lines. So at this point, I'm showing you just how to create a regular lined page, like so. Now I'm going to duplicate so I can show you how to create like a storybook page. You'd want to delete the first few lines. And now you can leave this area empty, or you can add a name section. So I'm going to grab a line and just add it to the top of the page. And now I want to go into the text and just get a text box and write the word name and change it to Snicklet. I'm going to minimize a little bit. Add that up there. Now you can keep the name section here. You can also add directions if you have a specific reason why you're creating the storybook, or you have prompts or something that you want to offer your customer. Or you can also go into the element section, get another rounded square, and create a box for the child to draw in. So let me just expand that, make sure it's positioned in the center, change my transparency, and then I'm going to, for my border style, it'll just be a solid border. Make sure everything is centered, and it is. So you can leave it like that. You can also delete some lines, make sure it doesn't look crowded. You can add a prompt, or you can just keep it like this, and you can either publish to KDP as a storybook journal, and then you can also upload it to Etsy and Creative Fabrica just as a printable. So that is one way to do it. However, let me actually duplicate the page, and I'm going to delete all of the bottom half lines, because what I was trying to show you was how to do handwriting practice lines, but I got a little carried away. So now that we have our 3 lines, you want your middle line to be dashed. So we're going to select the middle line, and we are going to click on the big longer dashed lines. Now, in order to duplicate it, what I do is I drag my mouse over, whoops, let's go back. I drag my mouse over my lines, and make sure that when you drag your mouse over the lines and Canva groups your lines, that it only selects the 3 lines. Now I'm going to duplicate and make sure it is about a ½ inch apart. It does not have to be that much apart, because it's just the space between the actual writing lines. So now I'm going to duplicate, and again, once you've duplicated once or twice, Canva will do the rest for you. And now we have our practice lines. Now you can do the same when it comes to adding a story prompt for the handwriting practice lines as well. You can delete a couple of the pages. You can also just add a section for the child to draw in. Make sure everything is centered, like so. You can also just type in a writing prompt, or add a name section. It's really no right or wrong way on how to actually create these lines. You just want to make sure your lines are straight. And if you didn't want to use the actual borders that you created, you can type in page border. Let me duplicate and unlock this border to show you how to use it. So let's say my border looks like that. I can use a border that Canva already has and repeat the process of putting it where my original border was. Like so. Of course, you want to make sure that everything is aligned properly. It doesn't show that because my original lines were based on the border that I created. But of course, you want to add your border down first. Then you want to add your lines. And if you want to offer a storybook section, you can do that as well.